Part 6 of
So this is
How I
part six
Became a
of
Pregnant
how I
Mistress
became
at the
pregnant
Age of 16 by a
at
married
the
24-year-old
by a
narcissist.
24-year-old married narcissist. So I left off telling y'all how I think we fought the sister, which came out the blue, whatever, and nothing come about after that. You know, everything kind of like simmered down. At this point, I was about to get ready to be due. You know, been about to be ready to be due, but you know, I was still staying with my mama. I already signed up for the low income housing in Taylor. And you know, I'm about ready to get her house. I'm start packing myself and everything because they told me I'm about to move in real soon. So that was that. um, I ended up going to the hospital. You know, nobody was there with my mom. I had to get induced because I wasn't, you know, I wasn't, what's it called? The word I'm looking for, dilating quick enough. I was, I was 2 weeks overdue. My baby was supposed to be born, I think, November 28th, but she wasn't born until December 8th. So, you know, we went to the hospital. I got prepped. My mama, she went with me, whatever. I had to get a C-section. They gave me the, I think it's called Pitocin, when they soften your cervix and all that. Then my contractions start kicking in. Oh my God, they were hell. The contractions were hell on earth. My mama, she was like trying to talk to me or whatever, like calm down, and talk me through it. But I wasn't having it. You know, she got so irritated and mad. She left me at the hospital by my damn self. But I think she eventually came back when it was time for me to actually, you know, give birth. So she was there. Baby daddy reminds her he was still locked up. I'm still writing him back and forth. I'm about to move into my new place. So we're gonna fast forward. I had a beautiful baby. She came out looking just like this nigga or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, she looked just like him. This is crazy. You know, he's still locked up and I'm already moving to my new place. They ended up calling me to move in after my daughter was 2 months. I had just turned 18 years old. So I had moved to these low income apartments. My income, I was getting like assistance from the state. I was getting food stamps, medical insurance. My mama had signed me up for all this stuff. I ain't know nothing about none of this. Mind you, I thought about to continue to work and while she watched the baby, but she was like, hell no, she wasn't watching my baby while I go to work. So that's what I had to do. I was getting all that. Then I was getting low income housing. This wasn't like, not like the voucher. It was just like, you know, in-house Section 8, whatever. So it was in Taylor, Michigan, called the Courtyards. I moved there when I was just had turned 18. I moved in, had my own place. You know, I started getting little stuff. I think I went to errands to get my furniture and everything like that. I had a baby. She's 2 months, and here I go with my own crib. I'm like, hell yeah, this what's up. You know, so after a while, my mama, she did start watching my baby or whatever. When she started like walking and stuff like that, and you know, got a little bit older, she started watching her more. And you know, I started back working and stuff like that. I think after I worked at Taco Bell, I'm trying to think what job did I have after Taco Bell. I don't think I worked right after that. I think I started going to school at WC3. I started going to school at WC3 for pharmacy tech or whatever. Then I went to Baker. Yeah, Baker to finish my pharmacy tech degree. I had like one semester to go, but I don't know what ended up happening. But I stopped going. Then some guy came around. My boyfriend, he was coming around, whatever. You know, I'm and him would come over, whatever, and chill with me in my house, whatever, drink, whatever the hell he was doing, and he had convinced me into letting me file my daughter on his income taxes, and I didn't know nothing about no income taxes, nothing, y'all. So when he was like, "Can I file your daughter on my taxes? I'll give you back $1,000." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" Because I ain't never, you know, I'm thinking like that's a lot of money. I could use that right now. I didn't really have no other income besides I was getting, I think $400 every 2 weeks from you know, the state or whatever, and I was getting food stamps. I was getting WIC, things like that. Then I had to start selling weed and shit. Um, Hustling, selling weed, just doing what I gotta do to support my fucking child. You know, nothing like no bricks, nothing. I just started selling a little bit of weed here and there. I remember I was taking my daughter for a walk one day in her stroller. It was a little white boy came up to me in an apartment complex. I don't know who this little white boy was. He had to be no more than I'm gonna say 12 years old. He came up to me and he was like, what up, dog? He was like, got the weed on deck. I said, nigga, like, you were a kid. I'm like, is this for real? He was like, yeah, this nigga was giving me like whole pounds, not pounds, I'm sorry. He was giving me like whole ounces of weed, like 2, 3 ounces for like $50. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, he gotta be stealing his parents' weed. But I was taking that shit and flipping the fuck out that shit, make my money. Nigga, thank you. Come again. He would always pull up on me when I walk on the door outside on the stroller and on this bike. I never had a phone number for this nigga, this little ass boy. You know, I'm like, hell yeah, run that, nigga. I swear he was giving me these big ass bags of good ass weed. So that shit was like, some good ass weed. I never smoked weed, you know, but I knew it was some good ass weed. Everybody was buying that shit. You know what I'm saying? At this point, my house was kind of like the party house. You know, I had a best friend I always used to hang with in the courtyards. My best friend was Sierra. She stayed like across the street from me, right down the street. She ended up moving in over there where I stayed at, whatever. Then my other homegirl stayed with me. Her name was Brittany. Then I had another homegirl I used to hang with named Jersey all the time. Me and Jersey used to hang like like white on rice, hang like wet clothes. That was like my best friend. We're not cool no more to this day, and I'll get to that part later. But yeah, so I'm in my crib, getting stuff from errands, shit like that, stuff I can afford for the house, I think when I first moved in, I tried to have a housewarming or whatever, and no, I don't know if it was a housewarming or one of my kids' birthday. My family came over. We sitting there chilling, I think we was eating or whatever. We just, sitting around the table. Why this crazy drunk man just come knocking on my window? It scared all of them away, so they all end up leaving. And remind y'all, my daddy, he was still not nowhere around. Like I haven't really talked to him like that. He wasn't in my life like that for real. And in the most important years, I needed him to be there. He really wasn't there like that. Cause like I said, him and my mama had separated, cause he was abusive. Excuse me. So when I think back, me growing up and started messing with my sperm donor, I feel like I was looking probably for love as a father figure, kind of like in all the wrong places, and he took advantage of that. What attracted me to him is he was always a hothead, and he always protected me when something was happening to me. If I was getting to with somebody with a guy, something, he'd be the Johnny on the spot. He was known as being a firecracker. When I used to ride with him, he would turn the sounds up, had the music banging. I don't know, all that excitement and thrill. I was attracted to that because I was kind of like shy, around that. So I was kind of shy when I was younger. And mind you, my baby daddy, he was still locked up. I mean, sperm donor, he was still locked up or whatever. And he all writing me, telling me like when he get out, he coming straight to the house to see the baby. He want to see what she look like. Even though I sent him pictures, he was saying at this point like, yeah, she looks just like me. That's my baby, But he somehow still want to get DNA tests just to make sure. This is where all the shit started. With him talking about he wanted to get DNA tests, he had a trick under his sleeve, because it wasn't for no DNA purposes. It was for him to try in the future to start getting custody of my children. So we're gonna get to that part. We're gonna get to all that. So, he all write me whatever, like, yeah, so when I get out, we're gonna keep this between me and you, we're gonna keep it a secret. I don't want my wife to know or whatever, and we're gonna be a big happy family. I'm gonna come stay with you. And I'm just thinking like, no the fuck you not, nigga, because I'm not trying to fuck with you like that for real. I don't know what he was thinking, but I was on my own little thing. I'm young and ready. What you know, young and turn ready. When people be trying to get me to go out and stuff these days, I be turning that shit down, because I did all that when I was younger. Like, I grew up at a young age. I took a portion at a young age. I had kids when I was young and everything. I get all out the way when I was younger. So nowadays, I be chilling for real, So he all telling me like, when he get out, he coming straight over there. He ain't telling me when he was exactly getting out. He was supposed to get like, I think 15 years or something. He did a B&E, I think an assault and battery. And he was like, he took a plea deal. He about to come home soon, but he would not tell me when he was coming home or whatever. And he was like, make sure the house together when I get there, and this, that, and the third, like, and I'm all in, like, okay, cool, but at the same time, I'm really not thinking about that shit, but I really was still all in, like, because that was my sperm donor. He never even seen the baby yet, he just seen pictures of her, ain't even give me a call when she was born, nothing, wasn't there to sign birth certificate, nothing like that, you know what I'm saying? So, at this point, like I said, my daughter, she was getting older. My mama, she was, she started watching her more. She was getting her like every weekend, when I had to go to school and stuff like that, she was getting her and stuff like that. So she was watching her like every weekend. Every weekend I would have a party at my crib. My house was the party house. Like, I kid you not, every weekend, even though some of the weekdays, people was over my house like white on rice. My house was the party house. Everybody knew that shit. Everybody used to be over there. At least like 25 people was in my house every single day. Not even joking. We used to be in that bitch turned and drunk as fuck. Like, and maybe I was looking for some kind of coping mechanism with everything I was going through. I don't know, but I was turned the fuck up. We used to have stripper poles and that bitch, had niggas coming through, having so much fucking fun. And everybody, whoever know me, what was going on. It was just so much fun. I was just living my life, because, I'm literally a young mother. I was taking care of my daughter. I was always a good mama, taking care of whatever I had a roof over her head, doing what I'm supposed to be doing to take care of my kids. But at the same time, I was still having fun. You know what I'm saying? So them was the good old days. So like I said, my mama boyfriend was like, can he find my daughter on his taxes and he give me $1,000? I'm like, hell yeah. So, that happened. I let him do it. He gave me the band, whatever. That was that, Then I started, fucking around with the maintenance man that stayed in my apartment complex, whatever. It was this white guy. He was fine as hell. He had blue eyes. He was kind of buff a little bit. He was so fucking fine, y'all. And I don't know how this even started, but I guess he was fixing on some shit in my crib one day, and then he was like, you sexy as hell, whatever. He was like, I'll pay you to, give me some fellatio. So I'm like, okay, so this was the first time I ever did some shit like this, but he would give me like $250 every single time. So I'm like, let's get it. And you find as hell, all you want is some fellatio, period. So, that ended up happening. And so this was going on, like,